Hey babes, my name's Hannah.
And my name's Chasity.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we are doing our June reading wrap up. I almost said July. Not quite.
Yeah, I know, it's getting there.
It really is. Halfway through the year, I have 4 books. You have 5 to talk about?
Yep. Okay. I have 5 to talk about.
Yay.
This was kind of a weird reading month for me. I felt like I didn't read at all.
Okay.
Kind of. Like I read a little bit, but I actually ended up reading a bit. But I feel like I didn't get through anything.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't a good assessment of what I actually read. The first one that I read was Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. I gave this one 5 stars. This one, no, I'm lying. I gave it 4 stars. Okay. So this one was about a, kind of like one of those suburban communities that has like the gated entrance, and they all have like a community pool, and it's like one of those, it's not very like high end, but they're like everybody knows each other and they're all in each other's business. Everybody has a camera on their house, and they have like an HOA and all that kind of stuff. So when you first get into this book, all you really know is that somebody has been released from jail and they're like back in the community.
Okay.
And it has something to do with like a death in the community.
Okay.
So it's kind of murky waters. You don't really know a whole lot. And her name's Ruby, and she was like found innocent. Like they overturned her case, and nobody in town really believes it, except for like,
so they think she's guilty.
They still think she's guilty.
Okay.
So she comes back and she moves back into her place, which like she has a roommate, and her roommate has like gotten rid of all her stuff because like she's been in prison. So as it goes on, like she's acting really weird. Like she's not really trying to prove that she's innocent, but yet she's like doing things and saying things to like make people like question other things. So her roommate starts like looking into like possible other scenarios and starts to look into stuff more. Like she's like, I don't really know. Like, is this girl innocent? Is she not?
Okay.
But she also doesn't kick her out. Like,
yeah, I feel like if you thought your roommate killed somebody, you should maybe be like, you can't live here anymore.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
It was, so the very beginning kind of confused me a bit, and it was kind of slow. Without really knowing too much about what the case was, or like why I should really care, why this girl just randomly came back and why this girl got rid of her stuff. I was a little confused, and it was a little bit of a slow start. But once I got in the groove of like finding out what was going on with the deaths of the other 2 like residents, then it started picking up, and it had a really twisty ending, and I really did like it.
Yay. So the first one I want to talk about for this month is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I've been rereading one Harry Potter book per month. I forgot just how much happens in this book. This, to me, is one of the most, I don't want to say action-packed, because it's not like necessarily a lot of like action sequences. It's just, I feel like everything kind of comes to a head in this book.
Okay.
It is the characters, I believe, in probably their worst forms. Everybody's kind of an asshole in this book, but it's their last year at Hogwarts, and this is where everyone kind of finally realizes, including like muggles, people who are not involved in the world, everyone finally realizes like this Voldemort is not going away, we have to fight him away. And so it's all very dark. Like I said, I feel like people are responding to that, and these characters are like the worst versions of themselves. This is like the first book where I really didn't like Hermione, because I didn't like this version of her, but I have to say, like, this has to be like my 3rd favorite, and I don't remember liking it that much when I initially read these.
Okay.
But I liked it a lot because I think I forgot how much actually happened in this book. It's weird when you read the series, because I feel like so much of it goes together and you forget what happens in which books. And
oh, absolutely,
that so much happened in this book,
especially for me right now.
And you learn so much more about Harry's parents and like that generation of wizards at Hogwarts.
I know you were saying that about
Yes.
Order of Phoenix too.
Yes.
Okay, so I can't wait. I just got Order of Phoenix.
Well, because this is Half-Blood Prince, so it's all about Snape.
Right.
You know, Snape is the Half-Blood Prince. So
Right.
it's like through, you learn a lot more about, more like Snape's experience. And I feel like that makes Harry very insecure about the relationship that he thought his father and his mother had and who they were. Yeah. So I liked kind of that, because I feel like that's the first time that Harry was like, oh, my parents weren't perfect. Because he idolizes them so much. He doesn't actually know them. So I like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I can't wait to read that one. I'm about to start Order of Phoenix.
I love Order of Phoenix.
So the next one that I read was Under the Banner of Heaven, A Story of Violent Faith by Jon Krakauer. I gave this one 3 stars. So this one just was recently made into, what was it, a TV series?
Yes, I want to watch it.
With Andrew Garfield? Okay, so I started it. I did start that. I was really interested by the TV series, absolutely. But I did read the book first. So I gave it 3 stars only because it wasn't really what I had thought it was, like going into it, because it was categorized as true crime. So I thought it was going to cover a little bit more of the actual case and about the victims. It did well covering that, but it wasn't really an extensive piece on that. Really, most of the book was like the history of the Mormon religion and going really far into that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was a little confused maybe as to why he chose to do it that way, but when you get to the end of the book and you read the author's note, it's much more, it makes much more sense, because he explains that that's originally what he planned on doing. He was just writing a history piece on the Mormon religion and the faith behind it and all of that, and that's what his research was on, and then he stumbled upon like all these issues and then the crimes and all that.
Like while he was doing the research for that book, he stumbled across.
Yes, so then the crimes kind of took the forefront of his mind, and he ended up doing like the book this way. So it made sense, and I absolutely respect that. But it just didn't keep my attention as much, I guess, because that just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't, unfortunately. It was very thorough, and it was very informative, and
I really like Jon Krakauer.
I'm very absolutely sickened by these people.
Yeah.
Because I cannot, I mean, killing someone in the name of religion is just never going to be okay. So, especially, I mean, your sister-in-law and your niece.
And it's like, I try to be respectful of other people's faith, but like fundamentalist religions like that, like, really freak me out.
And like, for what purpose? Like, how some voice in your head told you to do this? Like,
and you think it's like God speaking through you? Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Like, why? I just can't fathom that. Why would a superior being who supposedly created all of these beautiful human beings and tell you to love one another, why would they tell you to take the lives of your loved ones? It makes no sense to me. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, the book was written wonderfully, and he definitely did a lot of research and put so much time and effort into it. So I definitely give it 3 stars, but like, for my personal interest, it
just wasn't
just because it was categorized as true crime, and I really don't think it was really a true crime. No.
Yeah. So, completely changing genres, the next book that I read was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. So, when I first started reading this book, this was a 5-star book for me. When I finished it, I was so pissed off by the ending that I knocked it down to 3.5. Now I've calmed down a little bit, and it's a 4-star read. Okay. This is about, so this very much feels like People We Meet on Vacation meets The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's like The Summer I Turned Pretty for adults. This is about a girl and her family who get a lake house next door to 2 boys and their mother. And their mother owns like a diner or like a restaurant in this like little small town.
Okay, and can I just say, I love lake house stories.
I do too.
They're just so
I
fun.
do too, and I love, like, this is like a dual timeline. I love that too. Like, it goes back and forth then versus now. So our main character is named Persephone. They call her Percy. She becomes really good friends with the boy next door named Sam. And it kind of starts off as them being like friends, but obviously then it develops into something more. And then once you get to the now chapter, you realize they haven't spoken in like 10 years. And so then you kind of get to go back and see what happened and what led to that, versus the relationship and the people that they are now, which I think that that's so interesting because you see how they were very compatible then, but are they still compatible now because they've changed so much? And in the end, you find out what happened between them, and what happened between them really pissed me off. And like, not in a way where I was like, oh, it's good, like it made me feel something. It was just like, I don't want to spoil it, but it's something that I hate when this happens in books, and so it just pissed me off. If your feelings aren't as strong as mine about what happened between them, you probably will like it a lot more than I did towards the end. But like I said, up until the very end, it was a 5-star read. I read it all in one day. It was cute. I just didn't like what happened.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I've had plenty of books where the ending just kills it for me.
I was like, that's why they didn't talk? Like, it was valid.
But you
one
still
of
don't
them
like it.
did something really bad. But it was like that. I don't like that it was that.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It was cute. It was really cute. I had fun reading it. So I feel like I have to give it at least 4 stars.
Okay. The next one was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So this one has always been my favorite. But, you know, I haven't read it since I was a kid. So I really don't know if it's still my favorite because I haven't finished out my re-listen, my reread. So that will be determined when I finish. So I can't say whether or not, but I definitely did enjoy going back to this one.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite part was when Molly and Bill showed up for Harry for the last trial.
Yeah.
That's just...
There's so much cool, like, magical imagery in that book.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that in every book, but I feel like there's more in that book.
I just feel like it's stepping into so much more in that one. Like, it opens up so much more magical. So, I mean, we're getting so much magical imagery throughout everything, but this one, we're getting all these other schools coming in, and now we're getting all these new creatures, and just so much more that we can see.
You remember there's other wizards outside of Hogwarts.
Yeah, there's other schools, and you learn so much more, and now we're getting a little bit more into, like, growing up a little bit, and, you know, they're starting to get some more feelings.
Yeah, this is like the first one where not everybody idolizes Harry.
Yeah.
And he has to, like, come to terms with that. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
They start developing feelings, and then there's some disagreements, and yeah, they start to kind of grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
Yeah, I like that one too. The next one I read was Queen of Shadows, the 4th one in the Throne of Glass series. I never quite know how to talk about these without spoiling anything. I will say I gave it 5 stars. What I feel like is the most interesting character finally got introduced in this book. And I'm not saying he's my favorite character because he's horrible, but I find him so interesting, and the dynamic that he has with Aelin I find so interesting. You also get introduced to so many pivotal characters in this one. So many.
Yeah.
And one pivotal character is not really involved, which I was really upset by, because he was, like, possessed by a demon, but it's fine.
Rude.
I know.
So rude.
But I liked the chapters with him still, because I feel like you got to see, like, pieces of him coming through.
Yeah.
You know? Even when he was possessed. And I was telling her earlier that I feel like for years I've heard people talk about this series, and when they would talk about Aelin, they were talking about a different character than I was experiencing as I was reading these books. And this is the first time that I got that Aelin, where I felt like she was like, fuck everybody, I need to do what I need to do. And she finally kind of came into her own in this book.
Yeah, she steps into that role.
Yes.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah, where she's kind of like a little bit, I was like, oh, she's spooky. I get why people are scared of her. Because I didn't get it before. She was just like a little shit.
It doesn't make sense until, I feel like she was afraid to own it.
Yeah.
Until then.
Yeah. and you learn a lot of like different dynamics between you know, her and Adian, because they're finally reconnected. And then, you know, once Rowan is reintroduced back into the mix with her and Adian, there's like, I didn't really need an incest storyline, and I don't think that Sarah fully went into that, but it was definitely hinted at.
Yeah, it's a little uncomfy.
Yeah, it really is. He was a little too mad about
and I thought I was the only one that noticed that.
No, you're not.
So when she said it, I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one that thought that.
No, he was just a little too upset about Rowan. My biggest complaint is that Rowan didn't come in until about like 30% of the way into the book. He could have been in the whole thing. You know? It is what it is, though. I gave it 5 stars. I liked it not as much as Air of Fire, but more than the other two. So, Air of Fire is still my number 1 so far.
I bounce around all the time between Air and Fire and Queen of Shadows.
I love Air of Fire because people were so mean to her.
I mean, that is definitely a plus for Air. I love the fact that she just gets knocked down. Okay, so the next one that I read was The Comic-Con by D. Lagasse. I gave this one 5 stars. I think I've already talked about it on the channel once. I loved this book so much. Probably one of my favorite books this year. Definitely one of my favorite rom-coms ever. I loved every single thing about this book. Birdie, the main character, is literally everything I want to be. She writes this amazing comic called The Suffragettes, and it's a female-led comic. And she has this amazing group of people working on it, all females. And they run like, it's very hard. Everyone knows it's very hard to be a fucking woman in any of these fucking fields. And I just love it. I love it. And this book shows how being a female-led business and having this comic picked up to be turned into a movie is so difficult. And then she has somebody who she's had a crush on, an actor who she's had a crush on for a very long time, gets cast in playing like a smaller role, not the main role, because the main role is a female-led character. Right. But a smaller role in the comics. And, well, you know. And I just love him too. Atticus, just love him. Oh, love him. I love everything about this book. You guys gotta go read it. I want to read it really bad. Yeah, my nerd heart is just so happy over this book. I can't even tell you.
I feel like I've never read a book like that either.
Me neither. It's so unique. Just so unique, and like, I can't even. I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
I paced myself actually, because I had to meet my word goal. I had to write daily and meet my word goal.
Oh, but you really just wanted to read that book?
Yes. So every day when I met my word goal, I was allowed to read this book. Yeah. That was my treat. So.
Next book I read was Blindside by Candy Steiner. This one was released in June. Time she releases a new book, I have to pick it up. I gave this one 4 stars. The reason I knocked off a star is just because it deals with like tropes that aren't typically my personal favorite. There's a huge fake dating trope, and it's like a sports romance. I can do the fake dating. The sports romance usually isn't my thing. I didn't have a huge problem with it in this book though, only because it wasn't to me the main aspect. So it starts off with our main character being like very shy and very uncomfortable. She's a woman working in the sports industry. And our main character, Clay, is wanting to get his ex-girlfriend back. He is not himself because he really wants to get his ex-girlfriend back, and his friends are realizing it. So they end up making like this pact where she's going to be his fake girlfriend to make the ex-girlfriend jealous, and he's going to like teach her some things to like make her more confident in future relationships.
Okay, this is making sense now because I've seen all of Candy's TikToks and stuff, and now this is making more sense.
And I really liked both of the characters, and I mean, of course, it's a Candy Steiner book, so they end up like, you know, things happen between them, and it ends up not being so fake, but I liked the way that it progressed. It felt natural. I think sometimes in like these fake dating things, like one person can catch feelings and the other one doesn't, and there's a lot of like miscommunication. But that wasn't so much a thing. Like it progressed naturally, and I really liked both the characters. I really liked Clay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We love that. So, first off, trigger warning, because I am about to talk about some sexual content here, so beware. Okay. Listen, I'm also going to talk about some really inappropriate things, so
Yeah.
some very triggering things, some awful things, so just trigger warning, guys, just content, okay? Also, I'm probably gonna make a lot of people mad.
But I think a lot of people agree.
Honestly, I'm not gonna apologize though, because
Yeah, that's okay.
this is just, this needs to be said.
I can't wait for this.
I have promised to give my open and honest opinion on this channel, and that is what I'm going to do. I have seen this book all over TikTok. I have seen it everywhere, and I attempted to read it. Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon.
I'm sorry, the name.
I DNF'd it at 50%. Guys, I can suspend my disbelief for a lot of things. For the fact of fiction, you know. If you give me a good plot, some good characters, I can let it go. I can try, I can really try not to nitpick. I'll probably still bring it up, but I can really try to just let it go and continue going on. This one I could not. I could not. I almost chucked the book across the room because I just can't. I cannot. I'm sorry. So the book starts out with the abduction, okay? We all know it's aliens. This book is aliens, okay? So the abduction, which I'm not a fan of, okay? Let's just put that out there. There's nothing about alien abduction that I'm even remotely interested in, but okay. So to me, we're okay, this is not good, right? Alien abduction. We're seeing it from the point of Georgie. This is the first, like, first person we're seeing it from, Georgie. She wakes up, she's been abducted by aliens. There's these two creepy alien dudes. She wakes up in a cage with a bunch of other women. They're all terrified, and they're telling her, you know, you've got to be quiet, don't talk. And there's one girl who has something implanted in her ear, so that she can translate. Personally, I'm fucking terrified, okay? That's terrifying, okay? One of them is described kind of what you would typically hear for an alien, kind of little, gray, weird looking.
I was thinking green, but...
I mean, sometimes they're green, sometimes they're gray. This one was gray.
Okay.
The other one, not what you typically hear. Some described as kind of tall and basketball skin. Whatever that means.
Oh, no.
I don't like that. Don't like that. So then what happens, because I'm not trying to give you the whole story, but basically what happens is somehow somebody makes a noise, somebody gets in trouble, I don't know. Then we don't see everything, like it's not put in very descriptive, but we do know that like a rape and torture scene happens, okay? And then something goes wrong, there's a crash, they're pretty much left as in this crate as cargo, like dumped as cargo on this other planet. I don't know what planet they're on. Everybody's injured. They've only got enough supplies to last for who knows how long. So Georgie, who seems to be the one the least injured, tries to get out of this crate, whatever they're locked in. And she's hoping they've landed on Earth. Well, there's two suns, so they're not on Earth. So she tries to, you know, she's gonna go brave the wilderness and try to find help or food, something, you know. They're gonna die, basically. Which, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. There's like 26 of them in the cage. Like, there's 2 aliens, 26 of them in the cage. Personally, me, I would be jumping these mofos the minute they open the cage. And I don't care. If we're in space, I'm jumping off the spaceship. Because I'm gonna die. Either way. I'm not getting back to Earth.
Just kill me.
Just kill me, because I'm not dealing with this shit. So that's just me. I mean, that's
Basically, 2 of them can't kill all 26 of them at once.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
And even if you do kill me, that's what I was going for anyways.
Yeah.
So, like...
Why y'all just sitting around?
Just take me out.
Yeah.
But, whatever. That's not the point. My point is, then she gets caught by this other alien who I guess we're supposed to trust.
Is he from this planet?
This planet with the 2 suns.
So he's not the one
that's
that
what we're led
abducted
to believe, because I have no idea.
Okay.
They don't speak the same language.
Okay.
Well, she gets knocked out.
Okay.
Okay, so then she wakes up, and how does she wake up? How does she wake up, Hannah?
I don't know.
Oh. The alien is going down on her. That's how she wakes up.
No. No.
No. No.
I feel like that would give you like a yeast infection.
I would freak the fuck
But
out.
also, like, what does the alien have going on? You know what I mean? Like, that would give you some sort of infection.
Yeah, I mean, he's blue and horned and like scaly and has a tail, and
No.
I would freak the fuck out. So nevertheless, I prevailed after that one. Okay?
You're better than me because I would have given up.
I was really not happy after that one, but I was like, all right, for the sake of whatever. But then they can't speak to each other, okay? They're trying, there's the language barrier. That's an issue. I was like, okay, for sake of survival, she didn't freak out, whatever, maybe, okay? But still, it's just, I'm sorry, just the trauma response, you just watched all this happen. Like, I just couldn't.
Are you inside her head? Is it first person?
Yes.
What is she thinking?
She's like into it.
Oh no.
And I just couldn't get, like, I'm sorry, I can't. So, then like time's going by and he's like wanting to feed her and like get her warm or whatever. Cause this is the thing, he like immediately sees her and is like, oh, that's my, I don't know, I can't remember what he calls it. It's not like that's my mate, but that's pretty much what it is. Like, that's my mate, and he knows. And she's just like,
along for the ride.
Along for the ride. And I'm thinking there's all these other women that are starving and injured, like go help them. So basically, there's a language barrier, okay? And like,
so she can't consent.
She can't, so here's the thing, I just don't understand how, like within a day or two, like they're to the point of like making an arrangement that if he takes her up the mountain, like because she wants to go back up the mountain to the girls, right? Because finally she remembers there's other people. If he takes her up the mountain, that she'll have sex with him.
Oh boy.
But how, Hannah? How have they gotten to this point where they can communicate that?
That's not explained.
It's not explained, and not only that, but like she can't even get across to him that like she wants the food, the meat cooked. So there, and that's like literally within 2 pages, and then there's nothing else explained. I cannot. And after that, I was done. Because
I'm waiting for this one.
I just can't. I'm sorry.
You tried.
I'm sorry to disappoint you all, but I cannot.
Give it your best effort. I've heard very, 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 very mixed reviews, and it's like one or the other. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever read that book that I've witnessed and been like, yeah, it was pretty good. Like, either they really like it or they're like, what the fuck is wrong with any of you guys?
I just couldn't finish. I'm pissed off at Georgie.
Also, like, her name's Georgie, like from It.
I was so pissed. Like, you're selfish.
Yeah.
And,
She's
but
in
like,
that alien
realistically,
sex.
also, like, from a writer perspective, like, what you just wrote, the trauma that she just went through, like the alien abduction, and then watching another person be raped and tortured, and then falling from a spacecraft.
Maybe it's a trauma bond, you know?
Some kind of bond, but that 7-foot blue,
I'm sorry.
horned,
No.
having a tail.
Not the tail.
It's not okay.
No.
With me. I'm sorry. No. None of that what trauma bond? What trauma bond? The trauma bond of me running from my fucking life is what that is.
This is all like a nightmare to me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I would experience all this and then like wake up and be like, oh my god, what was that?
I would have yeeted myself out of that spaceship.
Yeah, just kill me.
Okay, so that's all I have to say about that. I'm sorry if I have offended anyone. But Planet Barbarians is not for me, and no, I will not be continuing on with any of the other books. The other 30 plus books.
Jesus
Christ. There's a lot.
Is it just about those characters?
It's, yeah.
Or is it like every time somebody new is abducted?
I don't know.
We'll
never know.
Okay.
I guess we'll never know unless
we ask. If you've read them,
we can ask Santana. She's read quite a few.
Okay.
But I mean, there were plenty of people in those cargo ships. I'm assuming they survived because the story continues. The story goes on, and I will not. So that's all we have for you today.
On that note.
On that note, sorry.
Meanwhile, I read very normal books this month.
Okay, so we have a new little segment that we're going to be doing. At the end of our monthly reading wrap-ups, we will announce the next book for our next Bookish Babble video. It's like kind of our own little book club thing so that you can read ahead and be prepared for when our next video drops. Would you like to announce our first selection?
Yes, we're going to be doing From Blood and Ash. It's one that we've been wanting to read for a while. We just haven't gotten around to, so we figured this was like the perfect excuse. So yeah, we'll probably make that video beginning of August or middle of August. So about 6 weeks. If you want to read along with us, that'd be great.
Yep. And I think that's all we have for you today. Okay, sounds good. All right, comment down below, hit that like button and subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you know when we post next. Bye.